Hi, I'm Amy McDonald, director of this joint. Thank you for coming tonight. Let me say right up at the start, we were expecting 170 people tonight. And when we realized that people weren't coming in, we think that a lot of people were confused and thought the conversation was actually taking place outside at where the light show is happening. So I'm so glad you're here and you are not confused and that you are where you're supposed to be and you're in for such a treat. This is a conversation with Dan Asher and the creator of the Northern Lights. It's kicking off the Cambridge Science Festival tonight. He's going to be in conversation with Tiziana about the technology, his mission. We've got some videos that are just fascinating. We'll get you out of here by 7:30, so you have time to actually go over and see it at 8 o'clock tonight. It will also be showing tomorrow night, Saturday night, and Sunday night too, I think, yeah?
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. Actually, it starts at 8, but it goes all the way till 11. So you know, take your time. You don't need to rush and swim across the river.
No car accidents. Dan calls himself an artivist, which is a combination of being an activist and an artist. He could not have a better interlocutor than Radio Boston host Tiziana Dearing, who just puts a spotlight on all things wonderful going on in this city. Take it away, Tiziana.
Thank you, and I'm glad to be here with you, Dan. I'm glad to be here with you in the audience. So I just have a curiosity question for the audience. How many of you, your main question about this installation, I'm gonna ask you two questions, is how? And for how many of you is it why? So let's start with how. How many of you, the main question is, how did you do this? Okay, and for how many of you is your main question, why did you do this? All right, so we're gonna start with the how. So you have essentially recreated the Northern Lights by will. It is watching someone play God a little bit with a natural phenomenon. How did you do this?
Okay, I'm not playing God, that's for sure. So the how is, I'm using technology, and I have some projects that you will see later on that are totally non-tech, and there's some that I use, research and development and stuff. So this one, basically I'm able to recreate something that looks like the Northern Lights, so it's definitely not the real Northern Lights. I'm not recreating the same process, but I'm creating in the sky. It's not like really, really way high like you would think, but I guess it's above your head, And I'm creating lines of lights, but these are invisible to the eye. So basically, you're just there. If we don't turn on the rest of the machine, you just don't see them. And then I'm able to putting different machines around the fields, which create a type of haze. And when this haze moves with the wind and moves around the space, when this haze crosses these lines of lights, that's when the effect appears. And that's what really interesting for me is that this is an installation about the Northern Lights, which is a natural phenomenon, but this is a person actually creating it. But I don't control it. I'm just able to create the situation, and then it's just depending on the wind, the temperature, the humidity, for it to happen. And then sometimes you're going to be there, and sometimes you're going to fill the whole space, sometimes there's going to be nothing, and then it's going to appear over here and over there. That's why I really tell you to go there, actually stay in one place, but then move around, because every places you are, you will think that this is where it's happening, this is where it's the best to see, but actually if you move around, it's from there as well. Go all the way to the back as well. And maybe if you have spaces and not too many people, after a while, just sit down and maybe even lay down and really take it in.
So by very definition, you're not playing God, because you turn over control to how people experience it, to how the air flows and how, how the wind moves and where people are standing based on where they want to be. It's really quite participatory with both people and nature participating.
Exactly. So, but you were speaking about also the technology. So the technology is laser machines, but that so this is the third generation of these machines that we created. And so we create these layers of lights. And basically, it's kind of different depending on the spaces we are around the world. So this is interesting. This is kind of like a type of parking lot with buildings around and lights. And so we had to do a lot of work to turn the space and to turn off all the lights around so that to create the best environment for it.
So I want to note for our audience, I'm happy to take your questions. We can take some of your questions for Dan as we go through the evening. And to do that, you go to Slido and enter Borealis. So you go to Slido, you can see it right there. You see sli.do. The key is #Borealis, and you can submit your questions there. So we were going to show video later, but I'm actually going to sort of step out of sequence here, and I want people to see one example of what we're talking about. So I'm going to show the installation when it was in Adelaide in Australia, and let's take a minute to look at that. So I can see the stream of lights, and I can see, are those clouds? Is that smoke?
So that's the haze that we created. And so it's traveling through the air and going up. And when it reaches these layers of light, that's when the effect appears. And so we have different colors. So this is kind of special because it's going through the trees. Usually there's no trees there, but people really loved it when it went through the trees, so we let it happen. But let me tell you a little bit about Adelaide in Australia. So we've done it already 3 times there. And the first time we did it there was for the opening of a festival. So there's 10,000 people sitting on this huge space waiting for it to be turned on. And there's a Australian Aboriginal ceremony happening, 10,000 people waiting there. And the ceremony finishes. They have a small fire and it finishes. And then we turn on the effect and it goes. So when we turn on the effect, there's nothing, and then it's on, and there's like 10,000 people going like, "Whoa, what is this?" And it's just happening all over the place. And that was really, really powerful for me because that was the second time we did it, and it was the first time that we turned it on when people were not there before, like with people already waiting there. So that was very special. But this is in a different place in the same city, but it's above a small lake. And which it makes it even better because there's the mirror effect from the water underneath it.
Why'd you do it? Why the Northern Lights?
So I'm really interested in what makes us human and these moments that trigger an effect within us where there's before and after. And so through my research of these moments where you feel really small and where you feel like you belong to something that is bigger than you, speaking with people that had the opportunity to see the real Northern Lights, they really say it's something that has transformed them. It was like just this expanse is really something really special. And I was like, wow, this is really interesting. There's very few things in your life that have this effect. But then my head works in really weird ways. And so the next question in my head was like, okay, but what's the percentage of the world population which will have the opportunity to see this in their life? And it's like, close to nothing because, you can spend $4,000 US to go to northern Norway and be there at the wrong time and not see them. So then my next question is like, am I able to create something that looks like it and bring it to the people all around the world on big city spaces?
Have you seen them?
I haven't seen them. And it's one of
how
my
does
dreams
that
as well.
work, right? So you're recreating something. So 2 questions about that. Was fidelity to what they actually look like important, or just, and when I say just the experience, I don't mean just the experience, but do you understand my question? And 2, do you have more or less of a desire to see them now that you've done this?
So the fidelity is definitely something that we really try to have. So the colors, it's like the green is really like the main color. Then there's a bit of blue sometimes, and there's a bit of red. And actually people that haven't seen those or don't know too much about the Northern Lights say, oh, but there's a bit of red, like there's no red. Actually there are, but it's really rare. So there are some Northern Lights hunters, people that really travel and try to see and read the weather maps and stuff to be there at the right time. And when they see the red effect, it's really something special to them. So we have the same colors. Obviously, it's not exactly the same, but then I was invited to speak with some people that are, as really scientists about it, and they say, actually, it's pretty close to this. Mm-hmm. So that was really important to us. Now, my desire to go is very big. I've been invited to visit a scientific expedition that is going up in the north, but because of COVID, it's all gone down. And my partner really doesn't like the cold, so maybe in the future, but it's not happening right now.
So let's show another film of the installation. This is London, and we're going to have sound with this one. So let's go ahead. So tell us what we're seeing.
So this is the Tower of London, so we're right in the center of the city, and so there's a bit of wind, and so you see the effect with wind. That means that the whole effect travels faster. We were invited there, and that space was kind of tricky because it's right by the Thames, by the river, which means there's this wind, so we had to really look at the space very differently to make it happen there. And since then, we've gone 3 times again to London. The last time was for the mayor of London to get people back into the city after the COVID. And the impact was huge. Worked really well.
So tell us about the music.
So the music, I worked with a French composer called Guillaume Desbois. And he's a person that composes music for movies usually. And the way we worked together is I told him about the experience that I wanted to get people to experience. So, and I want to speak a little bit about this because, like the first question was about the how. And personally, I really don't care about the how. So I'm an artist, but I don't know how to draw really well. I'm not a graphic designer. I don't sculpt. But what interests me is the experience that people are going to get, the emotions that I'm able to get to arise. And so my work takes many, many different shapes, but it's always the experience that is the goal. So with him, I gave him. We talked a lot about like the feeling of expanse, the awe. And all these type of words, keywords, and he started to work with it. And he works with traditional instruments. And so we worked and did a lot of back and forth like this till we have this track, which is half an hour, and it's played in a loop. And basically it accompanies the installation in it that it takes you on a journey. And it really transforms the way you're in the space, because you will be typically here in a very urban space, like there's, like buildings and lights and stuff. It's quite hard, but it really slows time down. People kind of like start speaking lower like this and, murmuring to each other and laying down and, and taking the time. And this is very specific to this installation because we really used to spectacle, like you're going to go see a show and you have to be there at 8, and at 8:05 we turn it on and then it lasts for 25 minutes and then you go. This is not it. This is something that you have to experience, and you go and you take your time and really just be there. And so I really invite you to be there.
Let's see Lausanne.
So Lausanne is really special to me because that was the very first time we did it. And I need to tell you a story about it. So I had this idea about recreating the Northern Lights for quite a while. And this is basically the MIT of Switzerland. And they rang me up and they said, okay, we're opening a new art lab, this new art space and this whole new open space. There's going to be 800 people with the president of the country and really important stuff. And when they go out of the building into this new space, we want them to go wow. And I asked them, okay, but like how big is this space? And it's like 600 feet by 400 feet. And I just go, oh my God, like I had done large installations before, but like in this type of space, it would like totally float. And so I started to go back to different ideas I had, and then I had this idea about the Northern Lights. So I rang a company in Germany that I worked before with, and I told them, okay, I think using this technology in this way, we should be able to do it. And so Harald, which is on site now, he goes like, yeah, I think it's possible. And and so I go to Stuttgart in Germany, and we lock ourselves in a big hole, and we work and work. And then finally we found ourselves on that big space. It's November 10th. There's no one in the space. It's raining. It's really cold. We're totally miserable, and I'm standing in distance and say, "Okay, go on the radio, turn on the system." And so it turns on and goes. And I was going to go, "Oh my God, there's something happening here." And it was really profound experience. And I could see people, cycling or passing by, just like kind of stopping at the stride, and they're going, "What is this?" And the space is really big. And people started to come together, like kind of closer to each other to be able to share the experience. And I was standing there going, wow. And then Harald came close to me and he goes like, I tell you with a German accent, he goes, I love Harald. Okay, let's be clear about this. He goes like, I've been doing this work for 25 years. And now for the first time in 23 years, I almost have goosebumps. And then I go, wow, if I can get Harald to almost have goosebumps, we're really onto something.
So for those of you who might have had trouble with Slido earlier, try again. That is sli.do, and it's #Borealis if you want to submit questions. And we do have a question, which is, why do you think people are so attracted to the Northern Lights?
Because it's magical. It shouldn't be there. It's you can't comprehend it. The images that you see makes you wonder how it is possible, and so there's these magics. And when you ask people what are the top 10 things they want to do in their lives, most of the time there's seeing the Northern Lights. And again, me being able to create it and something that looks like it and bring it to the people is huge. We just did it in Marseille, in south of France, and there was 39,000 people over 3 days, and there were families and and all the social strats of people, and everybody coming together and experiencing this together. And it was very, very strong. And people said, like, I probably will never be able to go, all the way up north to see them, the right ones, but at least I've seen this. And that's really special to me.
So do you believe in magic? Do you think there's magic in the world?
I think magic's going to save us, yeah.
So talk about that.
I think, okay, there's magic, which can be a trick, but there's magic, which is what happens between us. And this is, again, going back to the essence of what I do. I'm trying to create situations where strangers come together and connect beyond their differences. So in this piece, Borealis, basically, people come, there's an invitation, come and see the Northern Lights. So they go, oh, it's really exciting and stuff. But basically, you're all here and you'll be all sharing the same emotion. And whatever, especially Ria at the moment, your political stance or, your beliefs, your age, all of this is put to the side and you're just there sharing these experiences. A lot of different installations, there's always this thing at the back. So to get people to come together and share the experiences together. And this is where magic occurs. We will see some different projects afterwards, but it's when you're able to cut through the routine, and basically you're just in your head and watching your phone, and you stop, and there's something happening which brings you back into the present moment. So it's magic, but it's the magic of going back into what already is, but that we don't see anymore.
So one of our audience members says, if you believe in magic, then would you describe yourself as an optimist?
So that's another discussion. But I'm an optimist, definitely, but I'm an optimist not because I believe that things are magically going to happen, but I'm an optimist because I need to be an optimist. And because if you don't believe that things are possible to change, you just give up. And
so that takes us to two directions. And direction number one, before we leave this installation, because there's so much more about your art, your activism that I want to talk about tonight. But before we leave the installation, this is the first time you're showing it in the United States. I think it's fair to say that many here in the US see ourselves in a moment of real pain. where the kind of connection across difference, that shared encounter that produces interhuman magic, is something that we're sorely lacking. Do you feel something different in bringing this installation here than to the other countries, the other cities you've brought it to, or is it the same everywhere?
Okay, obviously there are tensions all around the world, but from Europe, looking at the US is really tough. It's really hard to see, such really strong views, and it's all black and white, and there's no discussion. And so I swear, from Europe, you go and you see what's happening here. So I'm really happy about bringing these pieces, but I have different projects that could be even stronger about recreating this sense of a shared humanity, because this is what's in the center of my work. It's about how do we go back to a sense of belonging, of community, of shared humanity, and of shared future. Because if we don't understand that my future depends on your future, then my well-being depends on your well-being, we won't be able to face the challenges that are in front of us. And obviously, in this country, you are really at a turning point like this, and we have to work on this more than ever to understand that, beyond our differences, we all want the same thing. We all want to be loved. We all want to love. We want to belong, and understand that, we can go forward together, and that's the key.
And that creates the second piece, which I think then bridges into both an audience question and where I want to go next in our conversation, which is...
Can I just say something again about Borealis before we move on to Borealis?
Yes, of course.
Okay, in my work as an archivist as well, there's an aspect of Borealis which is really important to me. So basically, I spoke about the social aspect, but there's also a climate aspect.
That's where we were going next.
Excellent.
Pick it up.
So basically, the climate issue is really close to my heart. I've been working on this for tens of years, so basically, you will go and there's an invitation, come and see something beautiful. But at the same time, there shouldn't be the northern lights there. There's no reason why it should be. And actually, if you know how the northern lights work, if we had such strong northern lights here, we'd be in huge troubles, because that means that the whole electrical grid of the whole country would have died. It's so powerful.
And you wouldn't have light pollution, and you'd be able to see. Is that what you mean?
No, what I mean is that means that we'd have rays from the sun going all the way further down from the poles, and the electricity grid would fry basically. So we don't want the northern lights happening here, as at least this big. But the question, so with this installation, there's a tension that is created, because we come and we see something really beautiful and we go, oh man, this is amazing. But again, this phenomena shouldn't be here, and it's about our compulsion as humans to try to control the environment and the climate. And there are solutions that are being brought forth now. We've been talking about them for many years, but now it's coming really much stronger about geoengineering, which is the idea of using technology to control and to change the climate, get clouds and rain, and get the heat to be able to go away from the earth and stuff. And this is playing God. It can work, but we have no idea of where it's going to take us, and the impact that can have in the future. And so just, this installation is about this as well.
So that was actually one of our audience questions, was the connection between your choice of the Northern Lights of Borealis and your climate activism. So let's stay in the space of the climate activism now. And I'm actually going to ask us to bring up the first of two video clips we have of We Are Watching. And I just want to show it first, and then you can tell us what we're seeing. All right, so tell us what we're looking at.
You're looking at portraits that people from 193 countries around the world have sent me with messages addressed to global leaders coming together at the UN conferences on climate, the COP. That was for the COP25 in Madrid. And so there's 14,250 portraits that come together, and all together they created this giant eye. And this eye is printed on the flag, which is about maybe twice the size of this room. So it's huge, it's 30 meters by 20. And I get this fly from a crane. And the idea is to have this flag flying in front of the COP25 and COP26 building, where all the people, the representative of the governments, come together to decide our future and tell them, we are watching. You have huge responsibilities, and you have to be up to these responsibilities. So people from 193 countries have sent their portraits, and they added messages addressed to these people. And so you can go to www.wearewatching.org, and here you can see the flag, but you can zoom in into the flag and see all the people's faces and messages.
And their messages. So let's see the second film that we have of We Are Watching now.
So this is Geneva, like a big CitySpace we have, and this is where you can see actually the size of it. And when we start putting it up, it's kind of a dangerous moment because the piece is so large that you can't control it, and the wind's going to take it and start flying it. And so after COP25 in 2019, I think, this was the start of a second tour where it started in Geneva, and then it went to Greenwich in London, and then up 5 or 6 cities in the UK to arrive at Glasgow for the COP26.
So I wanted to show those films first and have you explain them first, because our next audience question is, what do you feel your art can change? What do you want people to take away from your installations? And it feels like We Are Watching maybe the most pointed answer to that question in your art. Did you feel like the representatives at COP25, at COP26, felt the weight of that installation? And do you think you changed anything there? Or what did you hope to change?
Okay, obviously, it's really hard to say I've had this impact on this decision because there's so many things people do, and especially if you go to a COP, there's thousands and thousands of people trying to push people to take the right decisions, and everybody's got their really great and awesome projects. So this is just one of them. But I think this is just my drop in the ocean, that creates the difference. What I wanted to say about We Are Watching is that the first time I spoke about it and started to get people to send their photos was the Fridays for Future gathering, where there was 400 youth from all around the world coming together, and that's the first time I spoke about it, and Greta Thunberg was in the room and all that. And but what happened, basically I just planted these seeds, and at COP25, the youth started to draw in their hand an eye, and being in the building, and every time the representatives would come by and they would be, showing their hands with the eye. So we created a symbol that was taken and being used all around the world, because then it was in Vietnam, it was in Laos and different places with the symbol going like, we are watching you take the right decisions. So both at the international level, but also at the local level.
And I think you said this, but just in case to clarify, these COP25, COP26, these are UN climate change conferences. So 2 things. One, what's on the back of a couple of the pictures? Tell us what a couple of the notes said, if you can remember. Any one of them.
Someone from Solomon Islands saying, climate change for me is every day, is reality. My future depends on you. Do something. There were cries of hope, cries of fear. I mean, it was really emotional. And for us, so basically, we had only 1.5 months to gather all the pictures from around the world to be on time to print the flag and ship it and get it done. And we started to receive all these messages from all around the world, all colors, all type of messages, but it was really emotional. And like someone from Russia, and saying like, you have to act. You have to act now. This is now. It's happening right now. Elderly people saying like, I'm doing this for my daughter, and please do it for my daughter as well. It's her future. Was something very special to see all these messages appearing, and it's always very special when you have an idea in your head, and suddenly it starts to come together, and you start to see the result appear. And again, it's a situation I have no idea if people will play the game, and how people will react, and where people will take it. And then you start seeing this from all the countries in the world. Really powerful.
Was it ever too much? Did you ever feel overwhelmed by the burden of it?
So, but for we are watching, there's a real drive. So when you get closer, and it's now, so the COP27 is happening in Egypt in about a month or two. A month. So there's all the energy is really building up. Maybe it's something that you're not aware, but like people from all around the world are really gathering and trying to get the message across. So there's a whole energy. So that was fine, but like it's a real fight to get your message across. And then you think, okay, if I can get Greenpeace International to share it, then it's going to be good. And then, but everybody has their own messages. So you will see just like 80 people coming in, and then it's going out. So okay, if the Red Cross shares it, it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of work, and it's because it's global. I had 25 people all around the world. Because obviously when someone shares their image, you have to moderate it to make sure that only real portraits are uploaded. And so you're working with Australia, and when Australia goes to bed, then it's Southern America, and then it's that these guys do bed, and then Europe speaks up, so it just keeps going, it's never ending. But we will talk later on about secrets, and this installation is really overwhelming. It's really powerful, and my colleague and I, we will speak about it later on. But like for 3 weeks after the installations, after it's finished, we both dreamt every single night for 3 weeks about the installation.
All right, I will go to secrets in a minute. And it haunted me, and I only encountered it on a video for a few minutes, and it's been sitting with me all day. I'll note COP27 is in Sharm el-Sheikh. It's in November. The logistics of bringing We Are Watching the flag there are too much. You're not bringing the flag there, but do you think the eyes on the hands will be there?
I believe so. I believe so. It's really become a symbol that is being used all over the place. But again, it's moving really quickly, and there's so many movements doing so many really great things, and so much frustration at the same time, because the message is being sent out, but it's not being heard, or not as much. There's always a lot of promises and very little action. So I know that all these movements that I worked with, they will be there, or some of them can't travel because it's too hard to travel right now. And again, there's a real big problem of representation. Always, the northern wealthy countries being presented. How do we get the other countries to be represented, especially that they are the ones that suffer most from climate change? But like all these energies really rising up right now again for COP27.
Can we jump ahead in the videos to secrets? Is that doable? Great, let's do that. Let's show the video, and then we'll talk about it. So where was this?
So this is a project 8 years in the making. It took 8 years to do it. This is in Rennes, which is western France, and this is in front of the government building for the whole region. And there's a lot to say about this, and the images go quite quick. But basically,
that's okay. We're going to show it again in a little bit.
What we're seeing is an installation. And these are 3.5 meters letters that spell the word secrets, plural, S-E-C-R-E-T-S. And they put into a circle, and we invite the population to walk into this circle. And when they get to the center, there are some notes that say, "This is my secret. Let's burn it together." So we invite people to come and free themselves of a secret, something light, something heavy, it doesn't matter, and it has to be anonymous. And when you get into the space, you can either write your secret and pin it to the sides of the letters yourself, or you can put them into a letterbox and my team will come and pin it for you, or you can put it in a black box, which stays sealed till the end of the project. And over 5 days, we invite people to come and free themselves of secret. So some people know about the installation and come, and they know exactly what they want to free themselves of and put it up. Some of the people have no idea that it's there and just happen to go like, oh, what is this? Oh my God, okay, and it downs on them. And you can either free yourself of a secret as just being made aware of the humanity that surrounds you every day, because that's what really came out was, I had no idea there's all this around me every single day. We all carrying secrets, and big and small, but we all have our own secrets. And this was a way at the city level to get this to emerge and to come to light. And over 5 days, it just gathers more and more and more. There was no spaces that you could, pin your secrets anymore on the letters. And on the last day, we all come together and we set the whole installation on fire. And again, it's an idea that you have, and you wonder how it's going to work. How people are going to do it. Is the invitation correct? And 25,000 people came through the installation. We had 4,500 secrets, and about 4,000 people came for the end of the process for the burn itself.
Did you write a secret?
So I had a secret that I wanted to share. But just holding the space was just so intense that I didn't need to do that anymore.
It kind of burned your secret for you, just doing the installation.
It's just that it lost its weight because there was so much around me, and again, people come and when you get there and you read the other secrets, you think like, oh, my secret is really special, but then you go like, oh, maybe I'm not alone. And some people come and say, oh, I don't have a secret, what is this? And then they read and say, maybe there is something there. And I expected, the space to be very quiet, but actually it was quite lively. People would come and go like, oh, come and read this one. There were quite a lot of secrets that were really funny as well. And you go, oh, read this, and the youth really took over, and we thought it would be more elder people, but actually it was the 18 to 25 years old that really took over. And it's not through social media, because you couldn't take pictures, you couldn't take videos. And so they would come and they go, oh, look, this, and then you see one of them going around and writing the secrets, and bang. Or they go, and then two of them would come back and free themselves of the secrets.
Any secrets that particularly stuck with you, that you still remember?
Yeah, so a funny one is, one is saying like, I'm a doctor and I cheated in all my exams.
Okay.
And there's somewhere with much heavier,
yeah.
Abuse and all that stuff. So we would move them this further up so that the kids, couldn't read them. But there was one that it really touched us. Is basically the installation would open at 9 in the morning, and there was a man in his 50s waiting there for the installation to open, and there was no one else. So we just opened the first gate, and he just walked straight there, took a piece of paper, write it, put it in a box, and then went away. And obviously he was the only one and the first one, so we knew exactly whose secret it was. So we took it out, and it said, "Tonight, I'm telling my wife I'm gay." Mm. And you go, wow, that person waited and found this opportunity and understood that this was the right time for him to do this. And actually, one morning we arrived, and there was a secret that was just thrown in the middle because the installation was closed, and the guardian said that it was a man in his 60s, bald, that came and just threw it. And he was, I'm really scared. And there was so much stuff about, there were some themes which was about not being loved or loving someone that is, not returned. There was about cheating in all types of cheating, okay? There was, basically on each letter you had the whole array of the human experience, everything.
When I first heard the concept before I saw, my first worry, my first thought was, this could be so voyeuristic. But it's so clear when you watch it, when you see it, that it's not, it's community. It's not voyeurism, it's not I'm titillated by your secret, it's I'm sharing my secret and I'm touched by yours. And one of our audience members says, freeing people of secrets seems like another form of bringing people together, community. Could you explain why community is so important to your work?
So this is very correct. So basically, like in a romantic way of looking at the past, we used to have these rituals throughout the year that would get us to come together and that would have, give us a meaning to our lives and the changing of time. And there were institutions like church here or in a different institution around the world that we would come together and we'd discuss things and understand and give meaning again to what was happening in society. And this is something we have lost in many places. But we need these rituals to be able to come together and have this sense of belonging and this sense of community. And so this is a city ritual. And when for the burn, there was kind of real like a ritual. So it was really important that the builders were there, the ones that started to tear down the letters.
For the burn.
For the burn. The people that were there to hold space, they were the ones set around the installations to be witness of the end of the process. And for them, that was really important because I can't tell you all the things that came out in the team throughout these days.
Are we able to show it again keep going?
Sure. And then we walked around it and we had this box and we were working slowly and we had the lights on that we turn on and we turn off at the end and put it in the middle and then someone comes and light it up and it's all in silence and people are all around it watching it and someone that came and this woman that I met, she wrote about abuse happening in a youth camp happening when she was a kid, and she came and she said, I waited 40 years for this. I want to cry, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, it was really, really powerful. And I think, again, we just want to feel like we belong, and we all carrying our own trauma, we all have our own things that we carry with us, and if you're lucky, basically you can experience this if you go to Burning Man in the middle of the desert, but you have to spend thousands to get there, and it's again. It's the people that have the opportunity and the privilege to be able to go there. But what if we bring this to the middle of the city, to people like you and me, to the everyday people? And that's what is needed more than ever. And it's the type of discussions that you can have if you can afford to go see a psychiatrist, or if you can go on a retreat and do inner looking and search. But again, what if we could bring this to the city?
And all those experiences, all those examples you just gave are isolated. They're precious. They're curated, right? It is, I go to Burning Man, but everybody else there also wants to be at Burning Man, and then we leave and we all go back to our communities. I go to my therapist's office and we're in a protected space, and then I leave and I go back to my community. Part of what's remarkable about this is the community. That this is an experience that you're having where you don't take yourself out of your everyday community. It's being shared in.
Exactly, and it's also very important that it's right in the center of the city. That means that there's all these people that had no idea about the installation that just happened onto it, and they just go, oh my God, and then they come back, and then the numbers would go up every day because people would speak about it. And actually, the whole work started a month early, with these notes being present in different places around the city, and this discussion, okay, what is a secret? Are you carrying a secret? What does it mean carrying a secret? So there's this rumor and this, this discussion starting, and it goes up until finally the installation is there and the process. So there's an individual process where you either go like, okay, what is my secret, or why do I want to, show and to free myself off. And so there's the journey to go to the installation, to walk in, to take the piece of paper, to write it and to pin it. And then there's the journey of watching other people coming in and be seen, finally be seen of what we have inside. And then there's the communal aspect with the cathartic moment where we all come together and we set the whole thing on fire.
You talk a lot about community, but it strikes me in listening to you, and in a minute we'll bring up a picture of a video of one other installation you did. I think you're about love.
Yes, I'm trying to really go and dive into what makes us human and what makes us, again, makes us have a shared humanity. And so this was Secrets. I mean, there's different projects, but like this one was going really deep. I wanted to go, okay, let's go and see what's within.
Let's really go there.
The next project is going to be about breathing, breath. And again, it's the exploration, okay, what makes us come alive and what do we all share, and can we share breathing? Can we share breath together? It's about love, but it's about being loved. It's about separation and the opposite of separation, which is connection and belonging.
So one of the other installations, and you did a TED Talk where you talked about this one. We'll bring the video up in a minute. You created these exchange boxes, neighborhood exchange boxes. Talk about that a little bit.
So in my house, I used to do something, in my flat, because in Geneva you don't live in houses, you live in flats. I used to, every year, gather the things that I have in my flat which I don't use and put them just on the other side of my street and on a small wall and stay on my balcony and see people coming and helping themselves to it. And within a few minutes, almost everything was gone. And I thought, okay, but can I get other people to have the same experience and to give second life to their objects that they don't need, but they don't gonna throw them away because they could be used by someone else. So I got like this old newspaper box and we painted it and with a friend, and it says neighborhood exchange box, give something, take something, and just put it on the corner of my street as an experience. Let's see what happens. And very quickly it becomes a new nut in the neighborhood. People would like come especially for this and put CD, DVDs, books, kitchenware. It went all over the place, like really crazy stuff. And so I put this box there, and then it worked, and I went back to the city and says, okay, I want to put 40 boxes in the city. And it's like, oh, Dan, we really like you, we love your project, but this is never going to work. Say, okay, so let's not put 40, but let's put 10 first. And so, that's a strategy. Always ask for this, knowing that you want that. And but the city kind of knows me at the moment, so they go, this is kind of a crazy idea, but it might work, you never know. So they gave me the permit to do that, and so I put 10 of these boxes around the city. And a year later, we started to do counting, and over a year, 100,000 objects were shared, which is 32 tons of material, which is massive. So when you go back to the city and you tell them, okay, 100,000 objects didn't go back to the landfill, they start listening to you differently. And so what you will see is that very first box, filmed from my balcony, and it's a video. The whole thing is basically over a day, and you see people passing by, looking at it, and people putting things together in it, and people taking things away, and basically, let's watch the video.
And this is from your TED Talk. This is the Shaking City Experience video.
But I want you to see a woman that's going to come up very soon. She's a salter. Here she comes. Look at her. I don't know if you saw what she did, but she just took out the whole content of the box and put it back in, sorted out. And I have no idea who this woman is. I have never seen her before. I've never seen her since. And what's really interesting here is that, again, it's a situation. I'm putting a box. It's just a box with an instruction on it. But I'm not the caretaker of these boxes. I can't. Okay, so there's now 40 boxes. We finally got there in Geneva, but now there's hundreds all around Switzerland and all around the world, because this video was viewed more than 500,000 times all around the world. And I can't be there, to take out things that shouldn't be there, or and to sort them out and stuff. And people take it upon themselves. Basically, it's bringing trust back to the community. That if they understand the project and they think that it's beneficial, they will take care of it themselves. And this is typically this woman that decided that what she can do is sort out the content of this box.
You make a point in that TED Talk that you believe, and you believe these boxes demonstrate, that people want to serve their communities.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it really like as a citizen, what is asked of you is like, please go vote, from time to time. Don't leave your trash on the ground and pay your taxes, like there's not much. But actually, people, again, we want to feel part of the community. And some people, go to associations and, and enroll or help out in festivals and stuff like that. But most people don't think they can do, and don't think they are allowed to do this. But given the opportunity, a lot of people will actually, do something for the other really easily and want to do it. But they don't have the opportunity. And so this is just an opportunity for people to do that for the other people.
So,
for the other.
So in this moment, when we are hurt and we are divided, and whether the hate was there before and we're just seeing it now, or it's new hate, we're certainly seeing hate. Do you think, how do I ask this? Is what you're doing a struggle, a fight to bring people back together? It is an act of activism, or is it an act of healing, or is that a false choice?
That's a false choice. I'm just revealing what is already there. So I put pianos in the streets for people to come and play freely.
I like the piano one.
And so obviously I took this project further out, and so I started to create concerts at midnight, only on weekdays. And people are like, why would you do this? And what about culture for everyone and stuff? Like, yeah, but I'm not interested in how many people will turn up, but I'm interested in, the experience. And I swear, here, when you go and you go in a restaurant, so people are really friendly and they speak to you. So Switzerland is not like this, okay? You have to work for your friendship.
People are laughing because around here, we're known as the unfriendly ones.
Okay, so compared to Switzerland, you're doing really well. Let's be clear. Basically, every night there were between 200 to 300 people there, clapping their hands and dancing tango, or singing Cuban music. And basically, if you create the right situation, the right environment, people are really keen. You just have to scratch the surface and it all comes out. So when you put a box there, most people, even in France, so there's a lot of boxes in France too, and they say, this is never going to work in our neighborhood, ever. People are just going to set fire to it. And so, yeah, well, let's give it a try. And
well, they could put secrets in it and then set fire to it, and that would
as
work
well.
too.
But then it works, and then go, oh my God. And most of the time, the city, you always go, no, this is never going to work. And I say, well, you have to learn a way to how to speak with them and say, it's an experiment. Let's give it a try. It's not going to stay there forever, but if it works, the politician said, I had this really great idea, and now everybody's doing it. And if it doesn't work, the person will say, yeah, well, that was, let's forget about it, and we remove it. And so for the pianos, basically what happens is that when it starts raining, we have a team that starts to go around all the pianos, and there's a cover, so they're going to put, and but basically every time we would get to a piano, it would be already covered. People would have, covered them themselves, and sometimes we would find people under the cover playing still. But one of the most important aspects of this project was, first, a few days before the end, we said on social media, okay, go and play the pianos because there's only 3 days left. And we received hundreds of messages. No, the pianos can't go. They have to stay. I never experienced my city like this. I sang and danced till 4 in the morning with complete strangers. They're really, really passionate. And the boxes, some of the boxes got a bit old, so we removed them. Hundreds of messages. Where is my box? And then when we presented the pianos to the city council, there was the people that clean the cities and stuff, you know, like the whole department. They were saying, you know, the piano is going to end up in the lake and they're going to be burnt. Again, it's never going to work. Let's give it a try. Let's see. And none of the pianos was, you know, destructed, and they were all totally fine. And so after the project was finished, about a week later, the head of the department of city cleaning, I don't know how you said it here, called me up and he said, I wanted to thank you in the name of my whole team, because you gave us hope back into our population, in the way we see our population.
So I want to finish us on time at 7:30 so people have time to walk over for the installation at 8. Make an invitation. What's your invitation to the people here as they walk over to see Borealis?
My invitation to you is to go there, to take your time, to slow down, basically. We all have very hectic lives. Things go really, really fast. There's a lot that is being asked of you and each one of us. So just be there, you know, sit down, take it in. You can speak to the person next to you. You can, you know, exchange a glance, like, you know, we're living this together, and look up and let your breathing slow down a bit, and just be there on that space and, you know, see that whole beauty, and maybe tell others to come and be with you there as well in the next few days, because the number is going to go up. You are the first people that will come and see it tonight. Tomorrow, you will tell a few people. There's going to be more and more and more people. It's going to go up. And if you go there early, that's when usually there's the most amount of people. So there might be a lot of people, we'll see. But usually after an hour and a half or 2 hours, like the big numbers of people start to go, and there's more room. So maybe you just, you know, sit down and lay down. And we've had these installations in, I think, 29 cities around the world. And we got people to really lay down in the craziest places. So just go there, enjoy it, and plant this new memory in your head about what you experienced on that space, and so that it can open something that you can see public space in a different way, so that you can see the possibilities that can happen on public space.
Dan, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming. These are the kinds of conversations we have at this place. Check out our website, wbur.events.org, and see what's coming up. But more important to the moment, my husband and I are planning a picnic tomorrow and watching the light show. But if anyone is going to be heading over there, you should head out now. And thank you so much. You're amazing. And your message is, I got teary-eyed tonight. So Tiziana, this second time you've done that to me. So thank you all for coming.
Is that the microphone?